guys smell that? Oh, it's horsepower. What is going on YouTube? Again, it's been a couple of days. I'm trying to make a video every couple of days for you guys. Try and make it fun, entertaining, while teaching you guys stuff. I hate to bring you guys a video that's about nothing. You can't learn from it. Because to me, you should be able to learn at least something from every video. You should be able to learn something from every video that everybody does. That's what I believe. So if you're not doing something constantly, I feel like it's kind of, you know, granted there's people out there that love to watch people just do whatever they do in their daily, you know, routine. And I may do that one day, but as of right now, I want to keep my videos very, very entertaining while educating. So here today, we're going to be talking about widebands. I don't want to go, I think, too in-depth on widebands and how they work. This is more of my wideband setup, specifically on this car, what I did, because I'm hoping that I have a good Cobra base following for my YouTube. I hope you guys, other Cobra owners out there are watching me. I do a lot of this for you guys, to teach you guys stuff, to educate. You know, there's an older crowd out there that doesn't know about the beautiful new electronics and stuff we have today that they didn't have back then. And that, you know, I worked with a guy that had, you know, years of tuning with a carburetor and this and that, and loved it. He tuned by ear and all this, and I'm a firm believer that it's impossible to tune by ear. You just can't do it. You know, there's guys that swear they can up and down. But even him, you know, being a carburetor guy, worked on a carburetor, had it, he was having trouble with it, went and bought a wideband, installed it, found out right away what his problem was, adjusted it to where it should be, you know, air fuel wise, and then from there was like, holy crap, the car runs so much better. So that's why I'm doing this, guys. I want you guys to know and learn, and also, you know, help a little bit of an older generation out, get them some good information. I've been doing this a long time. I've been wrenching for literally almost 12 years now. I may look young, but I have a lot of experience, and I love to share it with you guys, and I love to be able to, you know, teach you guys some things. So speaking of which, let's get on with this video. I want to show you guys the setup that I have. So if you guys come over here to this beautiful baby right here, yes, I know it's beautiful. Look at that. Okay, so focus for me. This is my wideband controller. So that's my innovative LC2. That's what they call it, is an LC2. I don't know what that stands for. I think it's their something second generation. That's why it's a 2 and not a 1, because they had an LC1, now it's an LC2. So this is their second generation. But if you look inside the car, let me show you guys. If you look inside the car, I don't have a gauge anywhere. There's no A-pillar. It's not down here. It's not around the steering wheel. It's not, you know, I don't have it in the center console or that. Everything is done and ran through my SCT right there. So not only can that read everything that the ECM or PCM can read, but it has what they call a FireWire, which was not a very popular wire, but it is like a USB type wire. It's actually better than USB, but anyways, in my opinion. But it has a FireWire input on the side of it. You just buy a FireWire, basically cut it so you can get at the wires inside of it, and then you connect that to this outside here in the vehicle. These are super simple to set up, guys. If you're looking at getting one of these, or you want to get one of these are super simple to set up. Literally, it has 4 wires coming out of it. That's it, just 4. And all you have is a red wire, which goes to a key on power. Remember this, guys, key on power. It can't be straight to the battery because this thing is gonna run all the time, and it heats the sensor up. So that pulls a decent amount, not a ton, but it pulls a decent amount. So if you're sitting at a gas station or a parking lot and you have your key on, you know, listening to the radio, blah, 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 and it's working and heating, it's gonna be drawing some power, and you don't want that. The second wire is gonna be black, and that is your ground. You can run it to whatever ground you want. I prefer, and mine is running to this right here, which is the factory ground. I prefer going there to the battery. Some people will like try and put them to here, like bolts here, here, here. I recommend staying away from anything on here. Don't do it. If it's a factory bolt that you could find that maybe holds something here, or, you know, something like that, that may be okay. But I would prefer, and your car would prefer, if you can, to run it to a factory style ground, like so, or the battery directly. The next 2 wires are going to be a yellow wire and a brown wire, and those 2 wires are super simple. All they go to is, they're both outputs. They're what we call 0 to 5 volt outputs. Both of them outputs, depending on where the sensor is reading, from 0 volts all the way to 5 volts. And it takes that voltage, and there's a equation that then turns that 0 to 5 volt signal into a AFR, or air fuel ratio. Make sure that those wires are going to either your gauge, if you have a gauge, or your ECM or PCM if you're using a standalone, or like me, I'm running it into my SCT, which is inside the vehicle, and uses an equation to give me a AFR. Let me show you guys what I have on the inside. It's real simple. It's not very hard. And then I'm gonna show you guys where I power mine as well, because most people don't know how to do it, and I wanna show you guys how to use these. What I'm using is what they call a ADA circuit, but I wanna show you guys how to use them properly. Most people screw up on using them, or they flip them around, because there is a way that they need to be installed. Otherwise, if you don't install them properly, you will be putting all the load through the first fuse that you have, and you could be popping that fuse and not using the second fuse that's on it to actually, you know, be used as a fuse to power whatever you're powering. So let me show you guys on the inside. It's kind of hard to get in there and see and do all that. So I'm gonna get my flashlight and we're gonna get in there. Look at that, that's a snaky snake. All right, can you guys see that right there? So this is my fuse brick down by the kick panel by your feet. It's actually right above your feet. This is what I'm talking about right here. This is the ADA circuit. This guy is the way that I power my gauge. So let me go ahead and pull it out. If you guys look, it goes in a slot where there could be a fuse. And all you do is pull that fuse out, put that fuse in the bottom section of your ADA circuit, which you guys can, the camera would focus. Put that fuse in the bottom of your ADA circuit, and then put your new fuse, which you want to run to power your gauge. I have a 15 amp, which is way over, it's way bigger than it needs to be, but I figured if it's going to pop the circuit, we might as well make sure that it's going to pop the circuit. But going back to what I was saying is, if you look at this guy, this right here on the left side is always your hot pole, or what I call the main. This has a bar that runs up all the way through to the left side of these fuses, and then power goes through the fuse on this bottom one back to this other foot right here into the car, just like your fuse would do typically. And then this one, it goes up through the fuse and then comes out into this red wire to then go to my gauge to power my gauge. And where people screw up is they take these and they flip them around, and then they put this side here through here. And what happens is, because up in here there's power only on one side, like I said, one side is power coming out, the other side is going to whatever it's powering, i.e. like your fuel pump or your radio. And if you flip this guy around, what happens is it's then going to try and run the power up through this fuse, up into this fuse to then power that. And that's not what you guys want, because then all the power is running through that fuse. So you got to make sure that the hot side of your circuit in here, which is probably going to be on the left, since I have it this way and I've checked it, it's going to be on the left hand side, that this guy, the left hand side of this, is going to there. That way we know that the power is going to be going up and through this and going through into the first fuse like it should, and then into this fuse like it should be powering the devices. So just be wary of that and do it right the first time. This is going to save you a lot of time. And it's also, if it is in an important slot, that you don't pop a fuse for something important, like your fuel pump and then your car shuts off, or your ABS and then your ABS quits working. You know, these are all things that could be safety, or an airbag, or, you know, something of that nature. So you want to always be wary of what you're plugging it into, know what it's plugged into. That way, if it does die, you're not like shocked. You're like, oh, I think I probably popped that fuse. But going back to it, if you look under here again, guys, the whole reason that you do these is because this is an easy way to get a key on trigger. Now, there's a ton of these that are just constant power all the time, but there's a lot of them that aren't constant power. So all you got to do is get yourself a little test light, and I'll do that for you guys right now, just because I want to be nice and actually show you guys how to do stuff. That's what we're here to do. But I'm going to grab my test light and then show you guys really how easy it is to find the hot side of your... Now, first things first, now that I'm up under here, is we want to find a ground. Well, you guys see this bolt right here, this bolt head? That's a good ground, because I see it going into this, which is metal. So now that I know that's metal, that bolt's going through into it, that's going to be usually a pretty good ground. Because I know that this dash panel, for crash reasons, is bolted to the frame, or some part of the frame. So now if you look, I can start touching fuses. No light, no light, no light, no light. This one lights up. So I'm touching fuses, that guy's lit up. But if you look over here and I touch this one, it's not lit up. So what you essentially do is, with the key off, you want to go touch some fuses and make sure it doesn't light up. And so I go over to this one and I'm like, okay, this guy doesn't light up with the key on the off position, and then you'll click it to the accessory position and see if it lights up and go, okay. If it lights up in accessory, then you know this is going to be powered in accessory. But you don't want to make the mistake, and I see a lot of people make the mistake, which is they go to the key on, or the not key on, they go to accessory on, and then it lights up, but then when the car's actually in the on position running, it's actually off. I want you guys to use your test light, test it out a couple times, and make sure that you have the right fuse with it off and on. But then go to the key on or the run position, make sure it's on, go to key on, make sure it's on, and then start the vehicle. And with the vehicle running, make sure that is still on, because a lot of circuits that are on during the on position, just key on, can cycle on for a minute, and then when the car actually starts up and runs, then they shut off. There's a bunch of circuits that do a bunch of things like that. So you got to make sure it turns on with the car on and stays on with the car on. Now, it's okay if it turns off while the car is cranking. There's a lot of circuits that do that, like your radio and your headlights, to conserve power while the car is cranking, because you want all that power to be able to go into the starter and not to power the radio or the headlights, which you don't need while you're trying to start your engine. Therefore, don't freak out if you see, you know, they turn off in the middle of cranking, but once it goes back to the on position, it's on and constant. That means you have the right circuit. Okay guys, so now I'm going to show you what, you know, start the car. It's really loud. But if you guys look, you can see right there in the top left, that's my air fuel. The reason right now it's reading 7 point something is because it's warming up. The sensor itself is heating up, like I was talking about earlier. Once it gets to temp, you'll see it switch. It should be like 14.7 around there, maybe 15.0. But right there, see, there's the switch. So that's a good idle, by the way. If you guys look underneath, or to the right of that is my downstream air temp. Below that is coolant temp. To the right of that is RPM, which I typically have is that as voltage, but I changed it to RPM the other day because I was curious of something. And then underneath are my short-term fuel trims. So you can see this side, my bank 2, which is the driver bank, because bank 1 is the passenger bank in the way that they label it. But it's usually always pulling a little more fuel out of that bank. But anyways, that's my setup, guys. I just wanted to show you guys what it looks like. I stored my car with the garage closed for you guys. It's on the 85, so it doesn't smell too bad, you know what I mean? If it was a gasoline, oh my Atlanta, but I'm gonna crack the garage right now. So that's pretty much it, guys. I think I've showed you guys just about everything you need to know with that. If you have any questions about it, feel free to comment down below. I will try my best to answer them. For the most part, I don't have many comments on my videos because I'm so small, so you have a really good chance of having me answer your questions. Car's happy. That's a cool thing to have, whether you're young or old. It's vital information for your car. It's great information to have on the daily. That way, if, you know, guys, especially with modified cars, this is a must in my opinion. That way, you know, if you have a dual pump or triple pump setup and you have a fuel pump die, you're going to be able to see what your, you know, air fuels are with how you drive the car before pump dies, and then when a fuel pump dies, your air fuel is going to change, and you're going to say, wait a minute, why is that? You know, because the car may still run well enough to still move, but it'll be too lean to where it's actually knocking or detonating and starting to eat an engine. So hopefully you guys will be able to catch it in time and save your guys' engines. You know, that'll be good. It'll be, you know, a win-win, because then you get to save your engine and you know, figure out the problem. That's it for this video, guys. If you like this video, give it a big fat thumbs up. It helps me out a lot. Hit that freaking subscribe button and then hit the bell after that so you guys will get notified of my next video. Also, if you guys have any good ideas for any future videos, let me know down below. Comment, tell me about it, and I may just make a video about it. So that's it for today, guys. I appreciate it. I'll see you guys in the next one.